Ladies and gentlemen, let's Gaming video. A few short days ago, I put out a video concerning Nintendo and my worries over their policies regarding YouTube creators, my concerns over what it means for the game industry, and the frankly absurd manner that Nintendo are tackling this whole situation. It wasn't long after that, in fact, that another piece of news emanated from Nintendo. Now, I have to first of all explain the situation so you can have the context of this new piece of news. I'm sure most of you are aware of the situation, but still. So there are two ways to partner with Nintendo. The first is on a video by video basis. So in short, if you want to cover lots of games from various publishers and developers, this may be the one for you, theoretically. They will take 40% of the ad revenue that a video generates, and in other words, you get the remaining 60%. The other option is that you can effectively partner your channel with Nintendo. So for all intents and purposes, Nintendo now are your network partners. However, a piece of news has come out recently, and I'll read the quote out to you verbatim. If you have already submitted your channel for registration, it includes videos that contain game titles outside the list of supported games, please remove those videos from your channel within 2 weeks of the submission date. If the videos are not removed from the channel within this time, your channel will not be registered with the program, and you may resubmit your channel for registration at a later date. I've several major issues with this. Firstly, effectively, with this policy, Nintendo are shutting out you covering any competition. In fact, no other games can be covered. Now, one can argue that this is a rights issue, and while that technically might be true, it just further serves to highlight the absurdity of their policies. Because here's the situation. Now, as a YouTuber, you've got three options. You can partner with Nintendo per video, but most people already have a network partner, so you're going to make so little cash per video, it's probably not worth you covering Nintendo titles. The second option, and we're talking for larger YouTubers who are not massively into Nintendo, the second option is you partner your channel with Nintendo, but unless you're willing to make a second YouTube channel and go through the whole thing of asking your subscribers, hey, could you subscribe to this new one? This one is for Nintendo only stuff. You're SOL. You can't do anything with it because you can't cover Electronic Arts games, you can't cover Sony games, you can't cover Microsoft games. If a large game comes out, it's too bad. If it's not on Nintendo's official whitelist, in other words, the Zeldas and the Marios and so on, you cannot cover that game. They will not physically allow you to monetize that game on your channel. And the other scenario is that you just simply do not cover Nintendo stuff. And quite frankly, that's the scenario that I think many people are going to be going for. And really, it's absolutely absurd to me that Nintendo are doing this. And to use the words of PewDiePie, I don't really watch him that much, but I have to agree that, well, his statement is pretty damn accurate. Everyone loses in this scenario that Nintendo have created. That's just why I'm against it. And it's absolutely true. This does not benefit anyone. Nintendo are getting absolutely slammed on internet forums and so on, and the YouTube community just don't really understand it. Despite the fact, yes, of course, Nintendo fans, or the channels that are dedicated to Nintendo, it kind of works out for them more, I guess. Nintendo are losing the coverage of large YouTubers, for example, PewDiePie. I mean, just think of how many subscribers PewDiePie has. Imagine if he was to play a game like, let's just say, Super Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart with his friends. How many people would watch that video and then think, wow, he's having a lot of fun? And to be totally honest with you, a ridiculous amount of games have blown up because of YouTubers like PewDiePie or even review websites. Does this affect me personally or any of the RGT members? Not really, to be totally honest. We not really covering Nintendo stuff anyway. Would we like to? In an ideal world, yeah, sure. But this absolutely just means that we're just not going to bother. If the new Nintendo console comes out, of course, we'd love to. But the argument is, with these policies, it's just hurting Nintendo. Remember that the Wii U is not selling as well as what Nintendo had hoped, which is a shame, because to be totally honest with you, the system now is doing better. There are some absolutely excellent games on the Wii U, but this is the age of the new media, and as I've mentioned in my previous video, and I don't want to go over the same points, Nintendo are just really, really bad at understanding how all of this stuff works. And this is honestly a situation where they actually probably feel like they are doing the right thing, that they're actually helping out the gamer. But in reality, they're not really listening to what people on 2015 actually want. That's the problem. There's that disconnect there. The websites that are reporting this, if you read their comment section, they're just scratching their head of like, what the hell are they doing, Nintendo? You read websites such as NeoGAF or the other large kind of internet gaming communities, and it's the same issue. What are you doing? Why are you turning down the free publicity? And to be totally and utterly honest with you, if I were Phil Spencer, if I was Shuhei Yoshida, I would absolutely be rubbing my hands together in glee. I would be like, yes, thank you. Thank you, Nintendo, for this excellent decision. I completely and utterly believe that this is the right policy for your company. Because at the end of the day, it just, with these next generation consoles that are built for sharing, with the games that are coming out soon, and of course by the time the PS4 and the Xbox One get the next generation console from Nintendo as competition, the PS4, I've kind of worded that the worst way I could, but by the time that the next generation console comes out from Nintendo, the Xbox One and the PS4 are going to be well solidified in the market. They're not going to be most likely the fastest systems. In other words, the PS4 and the Xbox One are probably going to have inferior hardware, but they're going to be embedded in so many people's homes. They're going to have such a large install base. So, of course, well, we can pretty much guarantee that social marketing is going to continue to become the driving force. There's reasons that massive companies now have social media marketing, and they're making it a premium, because at the end of the day, that's how people generate word of mouth. Word of mouth now is the most powerful, it's the most prolific way that you can show and demonstrate your product, because if a friend or someone you trust, and ultimately, if you're watching a YouTuber, if you're watching someone, or if you're reading even a magazine, and I would say that magazines are kind of not so much because there's generally less personality in them, but if you're watching someone like PewDiePie, if you're watching someone like Jesse Cox, or even our channel, there's a good chance that to a degree you have either the same beliefs as them, or at least you put some stock and faith in their opinions. And so if you're watching them and you think, wow, that's actually fun, or it kind of starts spreading the word, and that's how powerful this stuff is. And it absolutely boggles my mind, particularly because Nintendo's games are so party orientated so often. I mean, yes, in very story-driven games, in very story-driven narratives where there's not much room to kind of diverge and not multiple endings, I could maybe understand their point of view in that respect, that they don't want all of the cutscenes on YouTube, and I do feel that there has to be kind of a happy medium, because what I don't like is when you've got websites, or sorry, YouTube channels, and they'll just put, I don't know, Halo the movie, and in reality all it is all the cutscenes from the original Halo. I think that's kind of going a bit too far, especially when there's no narration over them and there's no editing really. It's literally just the cutscenes. I can kind of understand why companies would get a bit upset with that. But when you're dealing with games such as Zelda, when you're dealing with games such as Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, those games are they're just fun to play, and you can't really complete them. There's no completion there. And look at Street Fighter from Capcom. Arguably speaking, if you didn't have the people who were streaming that game, if you didn't have tournament organisers that were streaming that title, if they weren't covering that, if there weren't tournament players, if there weren't YouTube uploads of all the different technology. So for example, someone creates an unblockable setup and then they put that on YouTube, and someone else takes that bit of information and then runs with it, and there's match videos and there's tournament matchups and so on and so forth. It builds that community, it solidifies that community, it strengthens that community, and you know what? That sells more copies of the game. that's kind of the problem that I have with this whole situation. It means that more people won't want to get into Smash Brothers. They won't want to cover Smash Brothers, and tournament organizers have already had issues. Like, I think it was EVO 2014 where they were begging Nintendo, hey, just let us cover Smash Bros. And it was pretty much last minute where Nintendo just conceded and allowed them to stream it. It was absolutely ridiculous. It's basically free publicity. Oh dear. Anyway, there's a lot more I could say on this, but I don't want to ramble on the same kind of point. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video anyway. Yeah. Oh well. Take care. Bye for now.